got their... Someone has a device on. Hey, welcome to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway, your channel for community support, help, friendship, love, knowledge, and just plain being of value to others. Welcome, everyone. And it's Friday again, and it's time to feed your mind and grow your heart. And tonight, we're super excited to have Sophia Rasmussen and Jim Pascala here joining us tonight, talking about psychic connections and experiences. So I'm super stoked about this. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. And then tonight, Dalibor is going to be my co-host. Poor Teresa has bronchitis, everybody, and just cannot make it. And I'm sure she's making an effort here in the chat room. Yes, most definitely. Let me go ahead and just greet everyone in chat real quick. Of course, Teresa, thanks for being with us. We love you and miss you. Jeannie Griffin, good to see you as well. Thank you. And thank you for all the remedies and things you've been sending to Teresa. That's awesome. So good. Lucky Smith, always a pleasure having you with us. You have such great insight. Thank you. Brenda, Milky's mom. Hey, good to see you. Always a pleasure. Let's see who else. That's it for the moment. So we're good to go with that. And we're going to be talking about paranormal psychic experiences and occurrences, visions, dreams, memories of past lives, premonitions, channeling other beings, and engaging trapped spirits. These synchronicities or meaningful coincidences are all just reveal what we are psychically in tune with the universe. It's important to be mindful of them and to not just dismiss them as pseudoscience or anecdotal evidence only of disturbed individuals. Kind of has that connotation, but not as much as it used to. Why? Because they often help us engage more fully with one another, and sometimes can even warn us of possible danger ahead. Being psychic, nothing to be frightened of. It means we are more connected than we could even dream and more invested in each other's experiences. We know that embracing and honoring our psychic gifts helps us feel that connection and enhances our relationships and opens our abilities. So,
Well, generally speaking, I would say that it's important to see the totality of all these experiences. That in and of themselves, they're extremely interesting, and they all point in one direction. That yes, there is a dimension above the one that we can see, the so-called consensual reality, but it's all tied in together. And the problem with the paranormal field is that usually the people that devote their time to, say, studying ghosts or studying UFOs, they don't usually talk with each other. Like the UFO people don't usually talk to the Bigfoot people and so on and so forth.
wow.
But when you analyze the totality of it and you're as interested in this stuff as I am, you see the interrelationship between all of these phenomena. And as somebody who's experienced all of them with the exception of alien abduction, I can tell you that all of them are 100% for real, and they leave an indelible impression on your soul for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I was curious, Sophia, she's a little bit frozen up. So I'm going to go over to Jim here. Jim, I know you've been on the show before and loved having you and talking with you. And I was curious, who do you rely on most for your inspiration, with your psychic abilities? I mean, what is the
Is
energy
anybody in
that you...
particular, you mean, as far as who's I feel that has inspired me? I guess you just sense that I think it was in me all along. I know Sophia's going to say that's been her whole life, but mine was a little different because it took more of a just a knowing that just I try to adapt to the system as I was brought up in it and not rebellious. But I had inspiration given to me little bits and pieces, and then finally, when the time woke up when I was 48 years old, all of a sudden I just had all the teachers I needed to show up in my life. So
Yeah.
I was very blessed to just have a desire to seek something we call moving forward without an explanation of where it was going. So I couldn't tell you that I was going to be doing this going to say for a living when I was starting out this. I just said, I don't even know what it is, other than I'm going to find out what it is.
Right. So you just took it one step at
Just
a
kind of
time.
pushed myself into
Yeah.
it. But I
And-
had all the support I basically needed. I had a partner at the time that worked with me very close in hand, and that was my wife who passed away. So I was very blessed to have a partner. So I would say that was inspiration, absolutely, because when you find out your partner is not working with you, you do not grow spiritually.
Right,
Not
right.
because you don't want to, it stifles it because they're dancing around and tiptoeing on eggshells.
Mhm. That love and support is everything. And
Absolutely,
I
very
even
important.
have a divine team that I work with. And man, I'll tell you, if it wasn't for that team and the close friendships that I have, yeah, there's I don't think I could have got through it. But what about you, Sophia? Who do you rely on most for your inspiration?
I would say I've walked alone most of my life. So my husband is very supportive. I have friends like Jim and Brian that are supportive, but are kind of relatively new,
Mm-hmm.
past couple years. But rely very, very heavily on the deity that I work with
Mm-hmm.
and my personal guides. So yeah, and it's just here recently I've actually, but yeah,
We didn't catch that last part. Recently, what happened?
just recently I've become more public with my abilities.
Mm-hmm.
For fear, I mean, as far as the lashback that can
Yeah.
happen, and
Right.
I'm to the point where I honestly I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
They provided far.
You just can't
I'm
worry
not
about
going
what,
to.
yeah. Can't worry about what
No,
other people are thinking and
right.
feeling about what you're doing. It's more important for you to focus on what you're doing and not so much about what they think, because that just hinders you and you're not able to be authentically yourself. So, yeah, I get
Yeah.
that totally.
Hey, I have a question actually.
Sure, go ahead,
I
Karen.
wanted to start right from the very beginning,
Wonderful.
because everybody's interpretation and perception in this reality is different from the time we're born. And I say, so I just wanted to throw out, what is your idea of psychic experiences and connections to begin with? What's your idea of psychic, Jim?
Well, that's a 99-cent question, of course.
Of course, that's why I asked it.
Here's a good example of I would call a very smidgen of one, but I was about 8 years of age. I'm sitting in the back seat of my parents' car, and I lived in a small town up in Michigan. And of course, I was raised in a parochial school, so we had a church that we attended. And I'm driving past some of the other churches in town, and this is my own thinking. Why are they praying to a different God? And I finally made the decision they were all praying to the same God. Nobody told me that. I just knew it.
Mm,
And I couldn't tell you how I knew it. I just knew it.
right.
That was back to knowing. See, again, when it comes to inspiration from our own knowing is through our senses, which could be anything, your smell, your taste, and I like the one I just call knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
just
you can't explain it
for
to
a ha-ha
anybody other than
moment,
you
or
just know it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
just an aha
And
moment.
that would definitely be one of mine.
Intuition.
One realization, just like I was 12 years old and decided that I was going to die someday, and prepared for that when I was 12 years old of age already.
Yeah.
And I
Wow.
can't explain why I knew I had to prepare for it, but I just said, well, make it a lot easier. So if and when the time comes, I'm going to be ready to go.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Back
That's
to knowing
fascinating.
again, I can't explain to anybody. I just knew it. So that was part of the little bits and pieces when I was very young. And then finally, I was raised, we'll call it common, working every day to make $1 bill, raise a family, and basic stuff that all humans pretty much
Sure.
exist with.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, what happened to me when my life changed? Well, that's the spirit basically said, I think this guy's ready to finally do it. And that apparently was because it all came together.
Hmm.
It just-
How long did it take you to trust it?
Probably only 6 months, maybe
So-
less. Again, it happened so fast and quick once it started. It was like an avalanche of information acceptance and encouragement. It was like there was nothing telling me to stop.
Gotcha.
Why should I stop when nothing tells me to stop?
Right. Wow.
And again, I just back to the knowing that I was chasing the right thing, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep. You're in the right place at the right time, doing the right
That's right.
things.
It
It feels
called,
right.
I call it inspiration of spirit working with me, of course, and encouraging you, because we all work with spiritual guidance. But again, you have the free will choice of listening or choosing not to, of course.
Right. Yes,
so
exactly.
Back to making the choice I made that said, okay, I'm going to inspire myself to be what I'm supposed to be. I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, but you figured it out. You did a great job.
I don't even know what I was going to be, if that makes sense, when I grew up.
Right.
So to me, it sounds like just that you're saying to you, psychic means just personal realization, which everybody has from the time we're kind of born.
Right, but we're taught, we just come in with that veil of forgetfulness.
No, we all have personal realizations. I can think back to the simple thing of I was probably 5-6 years old when the concept mind over matter, I came to that realization and exactly how that worked and tested it out.
Yes.
So that's why I was trying to get a better understanding of what level and what you mean by psychic experiences and connections, because that's just a normal personal realizations. So like I thought maybe psychic was when you come to have a vision or see something in a reality, shifted reality, which we're in all the time, and we go in and out all day long. But you see something, then comes to fruition in the future event. So you psychically have seen something or grabbed onto something within the matrix mainframe or line, however this works here. So that's what I was thinking psychic was. We have psychic abilities to tap into the whole totality of consciousness to see something in a different time frame psychically and tap into it.
Right. And it's as simple as a daydream. I mean, everyone has a daydream. So you really are tapping in at that moment. So, but most people don't realize that's what you're doing is you're just tapping into who you really are.
Lori, any shifted reality. But no expand, like I know that if Jim and both Sophia can expand on it, it's like it's something I just was thinking about, the last few days about it all and psychic and what does that mean for different people.
Right. So Jim, I know that you have quite the relationship with your team. How well do you know your team and how long did it take to really develop that trust with them?
I took some classes, and again, I had some very good teachers. It's like having the gift, but not exactly it's like holding onto a wild horse. What have I got here in my hand? It could take me off into the woods before I knew it, and I wasn't too sure, but I just knew when I started connecting with certain people that I felt this was, again, the right people to lead me, to teach me. It's like taking my hand, because the gift is either with you or it is not. And that's the way I would describe it. But again, it does need to understand it has to be controlled to some extent. You can't just run rampant with it. So again, one of the things that I kind of laugh at about, because there's a lot of people get inspiration to say something to people, but to walk up to a stranger cold turkey and say something that might scare them. Well, believe it or not, it does happen to me occasionally, but I really work on not letting my mouth run off at the top, because I'm not here to scare people. That's not my job.
Right.
One story, if I can share it, was about a person that comes into the store that I work out of, all my relations here in Indianapolis, and walked up to a couple that I didn't know, and this came out of my mouth apparently because somebody told me it happened, and I don't believe I said it, but they said I did say it, so I have to fess up for it. And they said I walked up to this couple and I asked them, "Where do you live, in a house or an apartment?" He said, "Oh, we live in a house." And I said, "No, you don't. You live in an apartment." And I walked away from it. And another gentleman said, "Well, I was told by this couple," they said, "that's what made me believe it, because what happened 2 months after I told them that lived in an apartment, they had gone on a vacation out of town, and when they were going, their house flooded because the pipeline broke, water line broke. So where did they move into? An apartment temporarily. So I didn't know I was telling them what they were going to face. But that's one little example of what in some respects preparing them for it, even though they weren't prepared for it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I
So
certainly
Exactly.
have a
yeah,
memory
so
that
you
he was
just
told us.
explained, yeah, Jim, what I just said. So you had a psychic premonition of something then, you didn't understand it, but it came to be. You saw it in the future, something that happened in the
Yep.
future there
Yep.
about the apartment.
So
So it was
it's
something that they
it,
moved to, right, in the future?
mhm. And your guides really have a unique ability to see and observe you from a higher level, and they can see what's going on in the future. They can
That's
relay those messages to you. It's fascinating. Sophia, how long did it take you to trust your abilities?
I didn't know that they weren't supposed to be trusted.
So you're just born that way, and you've
Yeah,
always been that way, and you've always had the connection. So it wasn't, you
yeah,
didn't have to earn or learn that trust, huh?
no.
So you just innately had it. Wow, that's fascinating. The differences between the two. Sophia, how well do you know your team?
My joy god, I've been working with him the most. Um, and then as far as the deity that I work with, I'm working, I work with Odin and Frigg, and that's probably like an everyday connection going on 5 years, but they've always been there and been a part of it. The Norse pantheon stepped forward when I was 11,
Wow.
and I automatic wrote before I even knew what it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's how
pretty
I got started.
it was
Mhm.
pretty powerful, very
Yep.
comforting. The fact that I stood in my power at a very young age, people were intimidated by me, I guess, because I had very few friends. One friend I still have from the fourth grade because she never was, I guess I was not off putting to her because the old saying, out of the mouth of babes, I guess I was the epitome of that. But basically, most part, it's JoJo, my joy guide. A lot of mental mediumship, imaging, and then just, I mean, for the most part, the deity and the guides. I mean, I have an alchemist, I have a master teacher. Um, Still, I guess I've worked more with the elementals than I have my guides. So I think creating a solid, what I call a handshake,
Mhm.
is intention. And if you're called to do it,
Mhm.
it's just like any other religion, in my opinion, there's a calling to it.
Yeah.
And honoring that calling and maintaining your integrity, which is all boils down to intention.
Mhm.
And it's every day. I've hit it, and I tried to be normal. I really did.
Oh,
It's
Sophia,
tough being you, huh?
yeah, I have a question for you, Sophia. Then what age? Because like you say, you were born with it, and and you always had it, and so you were comfortable with it. But what age did you think that you had to hide it? Like, when did that happen that you thought, well, this isn't normal, or that people don't think it's normal, or
Probably five.
Great
yeah.
question. Wow.
Five.
So
I was in a parochial school, and a lot of what I had to say would put the ministerial staff, aback. I mean, I remember getting those reactions, and the wide eyes and the how do you know this,
Mhm.
and
People in total disbelief of what you're telling them, right? Like,
yeah,
how could you possibly know something like that?
right, right. And with that comes being ostracized and being treated differently. And I didn't want to be treated differently. And then I just started getting used to it.
Does
so
this
you
go
just
back?
like went undercover type of thing and hid it? Sorry, so you went
That's okay.
undercover and hid it at that point, or
That was
Yeah,
my question.
yeah. Well, I realized that the reception was not there because the culture that I was raised in did not receive it well. But I refused to deny, I always stood in my power. I always said what I had to say. I was that kid that got put in the hallway,
Mhm.
you know, and very disruptive. I mean, you can ask Jim and Brian. When I'm at the healing circle, sometimes I bounce, I get shaky, and being in a room full of 30 children can be quite overwhelming because no one told me how to control it. I had to teach myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, you did it brilliantly. Yeah.
Thanks.
Have you had this ability in other lifetimes? Are you aware of any other lifetimes?
Probably looking at my birth chart, my numerology, and other things like that, I would say, yes, this is not my first experience with the blessing and the honor and the responsibility of being extremely gifted.
Yeah, it is a gift, no doubt about it. Yeah, and it's incredible how connected you both are, and it's really, really needed in the world today, especially now. So
I think I see the commonality here. The commonality seems to be that a lot of us have come out of organized religion backgrounds of some kind. Like I myself went to Catholic school, a Catholic grammar school, and Catholic high school, and of course my interests were not necessarily appreciated by the ruling garniture, of said establishment.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
So, and I really quickly, like maybe at the age of, I think, 11, understood that religion was just a divide and conquer thing and a business at the same time. It's just a business. And that's why I never like replaced, that the church aspect with some other church, with some other religion or religious movement. I've always been like a soul practitioner, you could say, by just being a student of life and a student of all the occult material I could get my hands on. Everything from Crowley to various Wiccan literature, Buddhism, Gnosticism.
You get a real thirst for it, a hunger, to know more and to expand and accept new concepts. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Jim, there was something very curious about you and Grandpa Brian, and I believe, Sophia, you've been helping as well. You've been helping spirits to pass on that are stuck and not able to realize, where they're at, and you're effectively helping others just to transcend and realize that they're not in the body anymore. This is fascinating to me. What's your experience with this?
Well, start with the most important thing I teach people is to learn to relax.
Yeah.
If you're uptight, you cannot open yourself up. It's the peace of mind that has to reside within you. You must be comfortable with it yourself. Because if you're not, you're never going to quite connect completely. It's like getting a half of the sentence and never being able to finish it. So first off, real simple, learn to relax. And again, we might call that meditating or call it quiet time. There's many ways to look at it, because when you're relaxing and call it your quiet time, you're looking inside of yourself. You're not necessarily looking across the room for an answer from another person, because the answers are within yourself, because you were gifted from the inception of you coming to the planet Earth. As long as your journey included to open yourself up, because again, some journeys are to remain very physical, others are to, like in Sophia's case, is from the word get go. Don't forget who you really are.
Right.
And guess what? Then
Be
you have
open
to
and
face
receptive. Yeah.
And facing yourself is not always the easiest person to face.
Ooh, that's for sure. Yep.
Especially having to put up every day with yourself.
And
if you're not being honest to self, then you become very frustrated with yourself, because you think, why am I having to over-exaggerate something? What am I? You're whole and complete, and you are enough.
That's right. Whole, complete, and one with the universe.
Simple stuff. That's what I promote. Approach it from a simple aspect, and then you'll finally relax enough so that you don't make it complicated.
Gotcha.
Grandpa
The more
Brian? Complicated, the less you're going to move forward gracefully and with grace and ease.
Right. Grace and ease. I love that. Grandpa Brian, what's your experience on helping some of these souls transcend this realm and on to the next? What is the most fascinating experience you had where you actually knew that you helped a spirit transcend?
Was one Friday night when I was out having dinner with Jim and Heather, and
wow,
a spirit came up to Jim. It was a lady that she overdosed. She was her family didn't want to have nothing to do with her because she was a drug addict all her life. And that night, Jim said, "Let us eat, and then after we're done, we'll take care of this." And we all went out front and held hands with her in the center of us, and we sent her as much love as we could while Jim was helping her cross over.
Wow.
Calling
So
on her
it was
family members to help her cross over.
so a team effort here. So you're pulling not only your guides in, yourselves, but as a collective, you're pulling together with that energy to help them.
Correct.
It's fascinating to me that they're not aware of their situation.
Well, again, when you don't have information, how would you know anything? Again, if there's nobody there to teach you.
Going into it, you don't have it, so you're not aware of it. I see.
Where's the school system to teach people this basic stuff? It doesn't have to refine you all into what you might call a professional psychics, but it should teach you the basis of what life is about, not what
Metaphysical 101.
Making money and being popular.
Exactly. Yes.
It's important to feel it's okay to feel good about yourself. Most important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Feel good about yourself.
Yep. Sophia, does this happen with you quite a bit? Do you find yourself in that capacity, or are you more?
I've had a couple experiences. I was actually there that night that Grandpa Brian spoke about, and it was absolutely beautiful. Because I feel that she was in that state for over a year, but Spirit's time and our time is not the same. But still, to be liberated from that dynamic, it's such an honor to be a part of that. I do have a slightly funny story to share. The last time that I helped a spirit cross, it was a Wednesday night, and I was very, very, very sick, literally like laying in bed, one of those. And all of a sudden I hear a male voice, not audibly, but it's different. It was in the front of my mind, and it was like, ¿Cómo se llama? And I know enough Spanish to get out of a fight and get a beer. So
that's funny.
And I can count. So I'm like, okay. And I literally, Spirit, you have tools, that you're given. And I'm like, okay, so he's approaching me. And then I start getting pressure on my throat. And because he was connecting with me, I allowed it. And because I'm always in service, sick as a dog or whatever. And I literally got my phone out and Google translated the entire conversation. And he was basically asking me what I am, not so much as who I am, because I believe that if you are employing and sharpening your gifts, I think energetically we look different. And that's why they're attracted to people that have potential, because they have that. It kind of, from what they're showing me, it kind of looks like an iridescence around the head. And they're attracted to it.
Your frequency, they're picking up on your frequency, and they recognize something in you. That's why they're drawn to you. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And long story short, he had a Catholic background, and he was convinced that if he crossed over, that he was going to hell. And I told him, in simple communicated terms, that all you have to do is ask and call for your ancestors. So whomever went before you, release your guilt, release your anger, release your frustration, and ask for help. That if you can ask me for help, how is talking to your parents, grandparents, whoever has crossed before you, call to them. And it was every bit of a 5-minute conversation convincing him that he was not going to burn in hell. He was convinced because he was drunk and choked on his own. Yeah.
Vomit. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love
Wow.
that.
Mhm.
And he was convinced that because he was drunk, which what he considered a sin,
Sure.
he was, and I'm like, just relax. I'm held accountable as a light worker, as an energy worker. Every single word, syllable, intention that I project, I am held accountable for it.
Right.
And that's what I told him. I said, if I'm giving you misinformation, I'm going to be held accountable for that. Why would I waste my time to mislead you? And it just felt like he took a really big breath. And like two white beings came. And this is not visual. This is all mental.
Okay.
And it just felt like a big exhale. And then he was gone.
So it clicked with him. It finally clicked.
Yeah. I said, I don't know you. I'm honored that you're here. But just call for your ancestors and think of the good times when you were little, because a lot of people get stuck, in my opinion, in low vibration, the anger, the hate, the sadness, and that's very sticky energy. And if you can get them to focus on something happy and joyful and their loved ones, and kind of like redirecting, for lack of a better illustration, a child, you're like, have your thought, that's fine, but it's not serving you. So try this. And he did, and it was just like a big breath.
Huge release.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but what an honor. Honestly.
Absolutely. Yep.
I'll never forget it. Any of them.
Bet. Was this recently?
That was 2 years ago. Yeah. I was so sick. Oh my gosh. It was horrible. But hey,
amazing that you could do it when you're sick.
I feel where the gods call, the gods quit. And if you're being put in a situation, regardless of the dynamic, do the best you can and you will be blessed for it. And that's exactly what happened.
And you're going to get a lot more of that too.
And I'm open to it. I mean, none of us are going to be here forever. What kind of legacy am I going to leave behind?
Right. You're being of value to not only yourself, others, but also the etheric realm. And that's amazing. It really is. And it takes honesty, integrity, all of that within yourself. You really have to hold that vibration, because if you don't, it's not going to work for you. And it's not going to work for them either. Wow. Jim, what was the most interesting psychic experience that you've had, as far as, meeting a stranger or somebody on the street where you felt drawn to just talk to them, and what kind of reaction did people have? Where, I would imagine some could be very open about it, maybe others not so much, but do you remember anything, any situation?
What you said about meeting somebody on the street of life, okay?
Yeah.
Interesting. One of mine, my personal ones, I feel it had nothing to do with the person I would recognize, other than I was on vacation in San Francisco one time. My daughter was living in LA at the time, so we'd gone to visit her, and we took a little trip up to San Francisco, and I was on the streets just walking around, being a tourist, if that's the word, okay? And all of a sudden we were near a park. There was a bunch of homeless people there. And again, think of the energy that they project. They're going to attract spirits of that kind of nature to their group, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, it does.
If I said I'm going to the bikers bar, what kind of spirits am I going to attract?
Sure.
Spirits, okay? I don't call them bad. That's their nature.
Rough group.
Well, anyway, I was walking to the park, by the park, and all of a sudden I felt an energy that was running up to me or flying behind my back. I turned around immediately. I said, stop. Because spirits, if they're going to approach you, must approach you from the front. If they come behind your back and run up behind you, that's inappropriate. And again, you have to sense and feel that. It's just like feeling the energy behind you or in front of you or beside you. And once you recognize you have the power to stop anything from coming to you.
I agree.
Simply saying, I command you to stop, basically, in so many words.
You wouldn't let somebody else just...
I had not been in this experience for a very long time, and I just knew when to tell them to stop. And that's
Nice.
what happened. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I would have been basically spiritually attacked.
Right.
And sometimes, like I said, there's so many little trivial things that have happened to me. Just back to what Sophia said, I call it. I'm not sure how many guys or people that I work with in spirit and as far as that, because I keep myself pretty open-minded to say the ones I need the most are with me now. And if they're telling me to shut up, then I need to shut up. But I simply say they tell me to shut up and start talking, which means quit using your brain. Because I don't need to use my brain.
Right.
I'm the mouthpiece. We're the messengers.
Right.
And again, we are all filtering. Because we are filters of what we say. That's why I call it conscious channeling. So if I start talking that is uncomfortable for Jim, I probably won't say it. As long as I'm comfortable with it, then I will say it. Because I've had to use sometimes language I normally would not use, but I'm just telling them, the people I'm talking to, this is the way they're telling me to say it, and they'll look at me and say, but that's the way my spirit would have said it, or whoever they want me to communicate with.
Right.
So there again, when you start talking like the person that you want to talk to that's deceased, they relate to it more if they would talk in their language instead of my language.
Yeah.
That's another confirmation that you're talking to the person that they want to talk with. So there's quite a few of those experiences. And again, it's like, how do we know what we're telling them? We just say it and let it go.
Right.
That's what we call trust.
Yep.
And trust and believe. Because again, when you connect, your intention is to tell the truth, I hope.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be part of your story.
Right. Right.
I may not like what you're telling me, but please tell me the truth.
Right. And it's validation too for that person that you're reading for.
Right.
You know, so that's really important. Delivore, have you ever experienced anything where you knew something was going on and you had to tell that person and you really didn't want to tell them, but you felt like you had to? You were drawn to?
Yes. One time, my brother came home he had been out somewhere, I don't know where. He came home and he said, "You're not going to believe what happened." And I just blurted out, "Let me guess, you got arrested." And it was true. It was true. So, that's like a brief little, glimpse of insight into a level of reality that I should not have had access to, because this was way before the internet. This was like in the 70s, so no way I could have known any of that.
It was a knowing. You just knew it. Yeah.
And there've been a couple of instances like that where, they tell you trust your instinct or trust your first reaction. And if you go back and you change it, it's usually the wrong answer.
Yep.
Usually that is the case. Yeah.
Karen, have you ever experienced anything quite like that yourself?
Oh, tons. My whole life's like that. I started. Actually, my dad and I used to play a game when I was a little kid. And he used to ask me, he'd say, "Okay, if you can guess what I'm thinking, I'll give you $1 million." And it would be just a random thought. And then our job was to try to guess what he was thinking in his mind and who would guess closest. So we played those games since I was a little girl. And so the amazing thing was, so far, I'm 3 million he owes me now.
You're all pay up, Pop.
Yeah. A few times I was a kid, a teenager, and Ed just guessed what he was thinking completely, get the answer.
Right.
Yeah. So we played those things all the time.
Yeah. How about you, Grandpa Brian?
No, not really.
No?
I'm actually starting to connect with them now. I'm getting more and more information every night.
Are you working with your guides? Are you working with guides or higher self or all of the above?
All the above, guides, source, higher self. Jim has really taught me to just relax, like he said.
Yeah.
I open myself up, and then now, like when I was doing the show with Courtney the other night, and they just kept giving me information, and I just kept blurting it out.
Yeah, great show you guys had. That's Stars of the Morning Light. Courtney, awesome. It's good to see you on the circuit, both of you, by the way. The more of us that are out here doing this, the more light we can shine on everyone. So fantastic. Good for you guys. And you've got a show coming up on Monday as well?
Yes, it is how men can get in touch with their feminine side. And
I love it.
basically all be about that, and how
Mhm.
that getting in touch with your feminine side is
Mhm.
not gay. It's
Right. It's balance and grounding.
balance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We all need to be in touch with both parts of ourselves because we are feminine and masculine. Yes, for sure.
Well,
Exactly.
that implies a level of control, and that's what I've been saying the whole time about, bringing the various superpowers of the human bio-mind online. That you don't want to just open the floodgates and just let everything come in, because that way you're not going to get anything done. You have to be able to control it and shut it off when you need to. Because, like,
Right.
for example, if you're concentrating and you're working on some spreadsheet, you don't necessarily need to have awareness of everything that's going on in the universe necessarily. You
Mm-hmm.
just need to, if you're focused on one task that you really need to do that's mission critical for you, then
Mm-hmm.
got to focus on just that.
Right. Definitely. Wow. Amazing. Does anybody in chat have any questions?
Yeah, questions.
Let's see. Lucky Smith was saying, often when I say or write things for others, it's my subconscious trying to send me a message for me to learn. That's interesting.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah, not seeing too much on that. If anybody's got a question, go ahead and post it. Yeah, fascinating. Just a fascinating subject.
Yeah.
Do you ever pick? Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, I was just going to ask Jim and Sophia, just because there's so many different methods of getting into that frame of mind, where you shift and you get that psychic vision or that, feeling or different things. So I know there's all kinds, like for me, most of mine, I'm a dreamer. So I do it mostly in lucid dreaming, to get all my visions in my sleep state more than anything, in that type. But what about you two? Like when do you find you get most of your messages? Because it could be like people purposely meditate, or you purposely daydream or shift, or you walking meditate. You know what I mean? Like,
I would say omens. Omens. If you keep your eyes open, you will see omens all around you. It could be
tons.
something as simple as the song on the radio. That's why I keep the radio on when I drive. It's I had a recent experience with an omen. I was going to see a house, and the name of the realtor was Fox. And I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden, a fox jumps into the middle of the road from the bushes into the middle of the road and just stops. I come to a stop, the fox comes to a stop, and he's staring at me for about 5 seconds, and then just jumps back into the same bush from where he came. And I was like, that's an omen. That's definitely an omen.
Wow.
And I was right.
Interesting. It's
Mhm.
funny, how spirit works with you,
Mhm.
and your divine team. If they're just trying to get you a message, they're going to do it any way they can. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Sophia.
In my
Yeah.
experience, spirit will use your symbolic, I guess, for lack of memory. So, for instance, if someone sees a dog, if you look in a dream dictionary or whatever, it means fidelity. But if that person's been bitten by a dog, that's not going to be a symbol. So it's for me, cultivating my gift, which I'm a perpetual student, is, having that dialogue with your guides and building, kind of like what Delabor just said with the fox, for him, that was a good omen. That was confirmation of the dynamic that he was in the correct path. But I would say, build your symbolic dictionary or mental database so you give spirit more to work with. That's why I encourage reading books, talking to other people, and creating, an environment that spirit can use, purposing to, if you're having a bad day, be like, okay, this is a challenge, and meet it, not crumble. because when you are gifted, I believe that life can become difficult because you're a threat. If you're edifying other people and encouraging them, you're undoing lower energy situations, and they will, mess with you, for lack of a better word. But like Jim had just said, you have a physical body on a physical plane. You have a trump card. And our culture has conditioned us, if we don't understand it, we fear it. I would be dead if I allowed that. Okay. So it's about intention and boundaries. If your intention is pure, I do not allow that. I've had, a couple times where the information I was getting was not of the highest vibration, and it was a flat, I rebuke you, leave.
Yeah, right. There's a question in chat for you from Teresa D'Antone. Hope
Hi,
you're feeling better,
Teresa.
sis.
Get better. We love you. What's up
For
here?
sure.
I
Do
don't
you
have my
get,
glasses on.
I can read it for you. Do you
Thank
get
you.
premonitions about others, and when do you choose to share, or do you always share? Great question.
That is a very good question. I believe that this gift has and requires ethics. My intention is to harm none. If I get information, I will, remind people, if you have something valuable, put it in a safe place. I'm not going to say, someone's going to kick your door in and trash your house. I don't want to.
You don't want to invoke any fear.
Exactly, because like attracts like.
Right.
So if I do get something, let's see, I got to reread it.
Let me reread it for you.
Sorry,
do you get premonitions about others?
Yes.
And when do you choose to share, or do you always share?
If there is a dynamic, depends on the relationship with the person, first of all, what kind of connection I have with them. I don't approach strangers. When it comes to readings, I don't just walk up to people and that's just not me. Everybody else can do whatever else they want to. But I do get premonitions. I do get information in dreams. I get most of my information waking life, like real time. And I would say that if a message needs to be sent, I will be put in a position to give that message. But I don't go look and be like, oh, there's so-and-so, and I had something happen a couple months ago. Mine is very real time, here, now, type of
in
dynamic.
the moment.
Yes, in the moment.
And you're picking up those energies, and you feel whether you feel like you can say something, or if you shouldn't approach someone. You innately kind of know that already, don't you? Because you trust it.
Correct.
That feeling. Yeah.
I light a lot of candles for a lot of people.
In that sense, you could say, as you, Sophia, said, using all those different modalities to extract meaning from. In that sense, you could say that superstition does have a legitimacy in being more psychically receptive, because I'm like very superstitious regarding numbers. Some numbers are good and some numbers are bad for me, just for me, not necessarily for everybody else. Yeah.
Fascinating.
If something needs to be passed on to anybody, there is a dynamic that is created. I've had strangers walk up to me and be like, there's just something about you. I mean, in the grocery store. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And everybody's the way they are for a very good reason. And I love people where they're at. Some people need healthier boundaries or speed bumps, if you will. But if somebody approaches me and I have a sentence, I will give it to them, but I'm not going to walk up to a stranger. That is kind of, it's not my
style.
No.
Yeah. No. Wow. Fascinating. Oh, we got one more. We got a question for you, Jim. If we know when and how someone is going to die, are we causing them to break their soul contract if we tell them?
Well,
Another
that's
good
always
one there,
a
sis.
very, very powerful question, because
Yes, it is.
occasionally somebody does want to know if somebody they know personally is going to transition. And again, I always leave it to that. I don't like to make predictions. I tell them that's not my job here on the planet, is to predict if somebody's passing. But I would say sometimes it comes to me very, let's say, to help the person to prepare for it, I'll just say within a short amount of time, or just there is no time yet. And sometimes because the will of the person is the one that's deciding when they really want to die. Because a lot of people hang on for long periods of time preparing to die. Again, I used to volunteer for hospice, so it goes, you get to see that actually happening a lot of times. Okay,
Yeah, very
some people
true.
die very quickly, unexpectedly, because their mind says there's no reason for me to stay here. I'm leaving as soon as I can, and they can will themselves to die. So that's why it's very unpredictable to predict what you might call a passing of time. Other than it's back to, you can pretty much feel a person getting ready to die. I've had several people tell me they thought they were going to die real soon, and I said, I didn't say I don't feel it, but that's what I felt. And sure enough, they're still alive. This is years later. That's why I said it's very hard to predict a person's passing, in my opinion, because there's still, we call free will. The free will of the person has to decide what they want to do.
And that's powerful.
That's why I said it's very difficult, but sometimes I've had people wanting somebody to die before they wanted to know when. And I said, it's not my place to call that.
Nope.
Right.
Their stubbornness can make them last a long time.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
People don't want to die sometimes because they want to make somebody else miserable. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So that's back to free will.
See, I had a premonitional dream about my brother's death, and I didn't even know that it was a premonition until about a month later, and when he had told us that he had been diagnosed with cancer. And in the dream, he was being executed by two men dressed in white. And in the dream, he was being led up onto a stage where he was to be hanged, and he was concerned about the well-being of the doctors. And he said, well, I wouldn't want you guys to come crashing down on the stage with me. Shouldn't we test the stage first? And, I was wondering about that phrase, test the stage. What does that mean? Later came to understand that it was the stage of cancer. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was about a month later that he was diagnosed with cancer, and 3.5 months later, he was dead.
Yeah.
So,
Really quick.
That's incredible. Really
but if you had asked me at that time, like what that dream meant, I would have told you I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the future. I didn't see that as a premonition.
Yeah. Well, it is an incredible to have that ability. It is an incredible responsibility, not only for yourself, but to others, to your guides, to the people you're reading for. You got to really be standing tall and firm within yourself and be very grounded to do that kind of work. So I want to thank you both, Sophia, Jim, for helping kind of enlighten people and bring a little bit of light into it. That's awesome. We greatly appreciate it. We are coming to the end of the hour, and I did have a little surprise for Grandpa Brian tonight, and wanted to run a quick little video for you. So, Brian, we know that you've got a beautiful little blue-eyed puppy that is just adorable. All I want to do is grab her little face and kiss her. So I put together a little video from some of the clips that you sent out. So here's a really cool introduction to Grandpa Brian's puppy dog, little baby girl named Luna. So here's your first look at Luna, everybody. Here we go.
Definitely.
Oh, thank
That was
you.
great.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Oh,
Hey,
there's Jules.
guess who's joining us? Jules, the alchemist.
Hi, Jules.
Just Jules. Hi.
Yeah, just Jules. Hello, everybody. How
Hi.
are you all going?
Doing
I'm out in the
good.
bush and I drove to get some signal just to come and say hello.
Oh, good.
Aw.
Well, I'm glad you said hello. How's the weather?
Oh, it's lush. Look, it's beautiful.
All right. Woohoo.
That's
Look
nice.
at clear skies.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
This one's
Mhm.
really right.
Yep.
Mhm.
What are you
See, I-
doing? What are you up to this weekend?
Oh, community event. And of
Ah.
course, there'll be dancing for me later.
Oh, wonderful. You can just dance your little feet off, huh?
Yeah, dance my little feet off. We've got a fiddle player, so he's really good. Good fiddle player.
Oh,
So,
good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. That'll be
Yeah,
a very, very fun and joyous time for you. Great. Wonderful.
yeah. So, I was listening as I was driving. I had a little bit of signal in and out.
Uh-huh.
So thank you all for your gifts and talents.
Mhm.
Thank you for
Thanks,
your
Jules.
gifts and talents, Jules.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I just want to add to with Sophia said it's intention, and of course that's truly everything comes from intention. But
Mhm.
what I got from when I started doing my abilities is I got the message it's just me that I'm working, and just all the different me's in different densities
Mhm.
is where I get the information from.
Yep. Mhm. I get that. Yes, I
Mhm.
do. I understand that very well. Yes.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
give anything labels, as you know, so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No labels.
That's
Yep.
true.
No boxes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you all. Are you about to finish? About to close?
Yes.
think so.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
well, that was good timing.
Uh-huh. Perfect timing. Well, you have a wonderful weekend, Jules. Thank you for popping in. We enjoy having you on. We were just going to talk about Karen's got a new website, and I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
share that with you real quick before we
Okay.
go.
No, it's not a website. It's just, yeah, it's a new spot. Yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it, because this is your shoe fantasy of
Yeah,
para shoes.
Yeah. So
These
it's a
are
kind of a new thing.
cool.
Yeah. So let your shoes do the walking as well as the talking, and express yourself with a
gosh.
pair of shoes.
Definitely.
So that's called a pair of shoes. And
Love
there's
it.
all kinds of different designs, and I did all the graphics myself. Because I hadn't been able to get home still with all the mandates, and I was still stranded out here. I had to do something. So I did this the last week. So it's been really fun. And so I did all the graphics, designed all the shoes and the things. And there's a whole men's line too. So you just have to go to the shop page. So this is
Wow.
the women's line that I did.
Uh-huh.
So yep, there's flip flops and just regular
I love
sneakers
the
and
high
high
tops.
tops. There's two
Yes,
different
and the
types of high
bags.
tops. Yeah,
These
little
are
weekender bag, little
incredible.
clutch. So I'll
Look.
keep adding some things. And
I love
there's
that.
lots of designs
Creative.
in every color. So
Amazing.
yeah,
So you just click on the shop.
just the shop page, and
Yep.
if you go
And then
there
you can
and go
come down
down,
and
you'll see there's the women's
women's.
shop for
Okay,
the
here's
women,
the men's
and if you
stuff.
go, there's
All
the
right.
men's. So if you just click each of the shop, that goes
Yeah.
into the men's
Look
side.
at that. Oh,
Yeah, I
love
did shirts
these.
for the men.
Oh, I love the shirts. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. These are
Yeah.
really groovy. Really, really groovy. Look
Yeah,
at this.
so some cool designs.
I
So
love it. I love
yeah, so
that.
if everybody in the community just takes a look, I'd love everybody's feedback just about graphics and what they like or not like, and ideas.
Absolutely.
And I just really had a fun time doing it.
I
And,
love that. And if anybody's
yeah.
interested in that, you can go to the Queen of Quartz Crystal Network.com, a pair of shoes, and get yourself
Yeah.
some shoes and or a bag or a shirt or
whatever.
what have you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've got some good news too,
That's true.
actually.
I need to raise some money so I could get home.
I feel you, but man, you put a lot of work into that. So pretty amazing.
It's true though.
Awesome. I'm sorry, Jules, what were you saying?
We've got some good news that all the mandates have been taken off all our schools.
Oh, that's
Good.
amazing.
Oh, excellent.
Amazing.
Yep. So it's all
Fantastic.
happening, guys. Get ready to connect with the community, and I hope your garden's all ready to grow your own food.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Karen, didn't you say your mandates have lifted for travel?
Just 2 days ago, believe it or not, everybody.
Yep.
Before
See,
2 days
it's
ago
happening.
in Canada,
Yep, it's
I
happening.
could not go anywhere. Even in another
Awesome.
province, I couldn't take a plane, train, or a bus or anything. So
Yeah.
just 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, good. Freedom.
Shifted on the 21st. The 21st
Yeah,
was the
exactly, Jules.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that's when it
Fantastic.
happened. So
Well,
yeah.
I'd like to thank everybody that joined us tonight. Again, we miss you, Teresa. We will see you next week. I am sure of it, positive. And just want to thank everyone for such a great show. Thank you, Jim, for coming on. Really appreciate you. Mad respect and love for you. Sophia, same. Mad love and respect
Yeah,
for you. Keep doing what you're
definitely.
doing because you're making a difference. Jules, do what you do. You're making a difference. Dalibor, you as well. And Karen, thank you so much. Always appreciate your insight into everything. So congratulations on your website. Hey, everybody,
Thank
I
you.
put the link in chat for you. Just click on the link. Go check it out. Some great stuff for you. And then until next week, thank you, everyone
Next
in
week,
chat.
next week,
Yes.
next week
we're-
we will be discussing virtual reality not being
That's correct.
necessarily a reality of virtue,
Right.
and hopefully we'll have John from Max Vision Remote Viewing on.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
they can find it on the homepage, right? It's on the homepage already for next week's
Perfect.
show, and links
Wonderful.
there from all the articles and who's going to be there. So it's on the homepage about next week's show and what we're going to be
Fantastic.
covering actually for part
Good.
3. So if you want a
Good.
hint about what we're going to be talking and delving into, it's going to be quite amazing, the next part. So it's on the homepage. Check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dalibor. Appreciate that. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. And until then, be bold, be creative, and be love. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Blessings to all.